At a school, there's typically a group of people that will work with your child. There will be a teacher, there might be a special education teacher, there's usually a school nurse, a school counselor, the administration. So all those people have an impact on your child's day. They all bring different strengths to the table, and you bring your own strengths to the table in terms of knowing your child better than any of them do. If you anticipate that the child is going to be struggling in a certain subject, you may want to have conversations more frequently about that subject. If you suspect that there may be other issues coming up from time to time that are less frequent, then maybe once a week or even once a month or once a quarter is adequate. A lot of times the schools will hold open houses within the first few weeks of school, and that is an excellent time to find out how the teacher prefers to be communicated with, and you may even have an opportunity during that time to take the teacher aside and ask those questions. One of the things I like to tell families about emails is that you may not want to put the recipient's email address in until you're ready to send it, and because you want to make sure that you've composed your email in a way that is not sounding aggressive, not sounding inappropriate in any way, and you want to make sure that all your concerns are laid out in a way that is factual, that respects the teacher, that respects your child, and that gives them an opportunity to respond without them being too defensive about that. And then when you've reread it again, and maybe had somebody else read it to make sure that it's worded properly, then you can put the email address in and send it, just to make sure that you're not sending something that will be perceived as inappropriate. Absolutely, meetings are a form of communication, and at a meeting, one of the things that you want to make sure you do, just as when you're sending emails or on the phone, is watch your own behavior and watch your own language, so that you are not perceived as part of the problem. You want to be perceived as part of the solution and willing to work with and collaborate with your school on helping your child. All of those people on the team have something to contribute to help that child. And that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're having a team meeting, is not to try to single out a person with whom you may have a dispute and say that they're not working, they don't like your kid, or they don't want to help, because I don't think that any teacher or administrator gets up in the morning and says, I want to ruin this kid's day today. Just like you don't think that your kid gets up in the morning and says, I want to ruin that teacher's day today. And what we all have to remember is that we're all here for the benefit of the child, and let's keep our focus on that child and not think about past things that may have happened that we bring to the table that may not be helpful, because we can't change anything that happened in the past. Formulate your questions in advance, write everything down, that when emotions get high in that room, that you have something to refer to that keeps you focused on what your goals are for that meeting. So I suggest that you write down your goals in advance, pick 2 or 3, maybe no more than 4 issues that you really want to focus on at that meeting. Keep in mind that everybody brings something to the table, and they may not all agree with you, but they all, and if you can get them all to agree that we're all there for the benefit of the student, that's key. If your child is old enough and able to come to a meeting, they absolutely should come to the meeting that discusses their educational supports. Sometimes children are unable to do that, and sometimes they can only do it for a certain period of time. So oftentimes what schools will do is they will say, okay, here, Johnny, come in for the first 10 minutes of the meeting and just tell me what's going well in your classroom and what you think could be better. And then the child only has to stay for a few minutes, and they can be helped along by the teacher or by their parents at that meeting, and then they can go off and continue their school day. But that does give them the opportunity to have their voices heard. Families bring a lot to the table, and one of the things that I often tell families is to keep a record of what they've discussed with their team. Even if it's a phone call, you may want to follow up with an email and say, Mrs. Jones, thank you for your time today. Let me just recap what we talked about and what our action plan is going forward. It may not have to be in that kind of a language. It doesn't have to be that formal, but it could just be, hey, we talked about A, B, and C issues, and here's what I'm going to do, and here's what you said you were going to do. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to contact me. But it keeps a record of what was discussed, what was decided, and what everybody's going to do going forward. And then if that falls by the wayside, you've got something to go back to that says, hey, remember that meeting we had in November and you said you were going to do A, B, and C things, and I haven't seen that happen, or how's that going? And then you can have something to go back to, and they may say, oh yeah, I did say I was going to do that. So a lot of families will keep a notebook, like a binder, where they will keep the school records, they'll keep report cards, they'll keep memos from the teacher. Some students, even if they're unable to communicate back and forth and tell their family what's gone on in the school day and vice versa, the teachers can write notes to the family and the student carries it in their backpack, and then the family can read that and respond and send that back, and that's another way of communicating. And hopefully that collaboration that is fostered by effective communication will do nothing but help your child. So sometimes communication falls flat. Sometimes we may say things that we don't intend or that we wish we could take back. If that happens, don't hesitate to own up to it and say, look, I'm sorry that came off badly. Let's start over and go back to tone those emotions down and just stick to focusing on the child and what will benefit that child. All you can do is control your own actions and say, look, I'm sorry we got off on the wrong foot. That's the kind of language you might be able to use. I would like to work with you. I understand you're my son's teacher or my daughter's teacher. I would like to work with you effectively. How can we do that? And what can we do to go forward to repair this relationship? Communication can be challenging. It's probably one of the most challenging things we will ever deal with, but it's so important to helping our children succeed.